It was a peaceful afternoon in Central Park. The Castle family, Frank, Maria, and their two children, were enjoying a picnic under the bright autumn sky. Laughter echoed, a rare moment of peace for a man who had seen too much war. But in the distance, three mobsters, Bruno Costa, Skinner, and Kolsky, hid in the bushes. They were on the run, faces tight with fear. At first they considered taking out the family to stay hidden, but one of them, a rare flicker of reason, stopped the others. And just like that, the Castle family lived. They packed up their things as rain began to fall, unaware how close death had come. That night, in the safety of their home, Frank confided in Maria. He told her about the worst days of Vietnam, how no matter the hell around him, he could always count on the brotherhood of the Marines. That sense of unity, of purpose, was what kept him alive. Now he found the next step. He'd been accepted into the police academy, the best civilian path for someone like him. And several months later, Frank Castle became a full-fledged patrolman of the NYPD. Assigned to partner Officer McGuire, Frank hit the streets eager to serve and protect. While they were on patrol, a video arcade was robbed. But Spider-Man intervened, webbing up the criminal for Castle and McGuire to arrest. But the next day in court, the judge declared the arrest illegal, citing a bad search. The man walked free. What Frank then found out was that money had changed hands. The fix was in. Later, as they continued their patrol, they stopped for coffee at a local donut shop. After getting his order, the shopkeeper asked if Frank was there to collect the payment. Frank was confused, and this is when Officer McGuire stepped in and took the envelope stuffed with money. When Frank asked about the interaction, McGuire replied and simply told him that it was supplemental pay and for them to turn their heads every now and then. Frank was stuck in disbelief. Each day that passed, Frank felt more conflicted. He had sworn to protect and serve, but what if the system he served was broken? At home, he explained to Maria the reasons why he was conflicted, and she told him to think about the family and take the safe route so that he doesn't end up hurt or even worse, dead. The weight of his discovery continued to consume him. Should he stay silent to protect himself and his family, or should he do the right thing? He chose to act on what he felt was the right thing to do. Frank then scheduled a meeting with Captain Carmody, a respected superior and fellow Marine. They spoke at length, swapping stories of service, honor, and integrity. Then Frank laid it all out. He told Carmody about McGuire's bribe for the donut shop. Carmody seemed surprised but not angry. Instead, he thanked Frank, praised his integrity and his courage. Two Marines bonded again by duty. But the moment Frank left the room, Carmody made a call to speak to someone known as the boss, and deemed Frank to be a problem. As time passed, Frank quietly gathered evidence. He took notes, photos, names. He saw pimps and pushers handing off envelopes to officers. He saw more judges taking bribes to release killers. And the more he saw, the more his anger burned. Still, he tried to live a normal life. On Halloween night, Frank is greeted by his kids. Maria had her hands full in that she dressed her son in a handmade costume that had a white skull emblem stitched on the chest. His son, filled with excitement, asked Frank for a cool name that matched his costume, and Frank, being half distracted by headlines of another criminal walking free, he muttered that they need to bring back capital punishment. His son's eyes lit up as he came up with the perfect superhero name, Captain Punisher. Frank chuckled. He didn't know the weight that this name would carry. While the family went out trick-or-treating, Frank stayed home, organizing his evidence, preparing to meet with Carmody the next day. And the next day he did. He handed the files over, assured Carmody that he could be trusted. As Frank left, Carmody made a call once more. That same night, the family gathered for movie night. Maria commented on how relaxed Frank seemed. He nodded in agreement and replied saying that he'd finally done the right thing. Maria, confused, started to inquire further about this right thing that he was referring to. But then the doorbell rang. It was Jake, Maria's cousin, fresh off a 10-hour flight. He crashed on the couch to rest. That night, the kids asked to sleep in Frank and Maria's bed because of nightmares. Like a good father would, Frank obliged. In the middle of the night, Frank's daughter asked for some water because she was thirsty. As Frank was fetching his daughter some water, gunfire tore through the entire apartment, starting with the bedroom. An ambush. Dozens of heavily armed men sent with one mission. Frank screamed to his family to get down, but it might have been too late. A few moments later, a grenade rolled in. The apartment exploded into rubble. After the destruction caused by the grenade, Frank, somehow protected by porcelain and piping, climbed his way out of the wreckage to get his weapon. When he fully came to, he beelined to the bedroom. His worst nightmare became real. Maria, the children, Jake, gone. Their bodies riddled with bullets. Days later, 4 caskets sat at St. John's Cemetery, the inspector's funeral, the highest honor for a fallen officer. Captain Carmody gave the eulogy, but in the crowd, a scope locked in. Frank Castle, now presumed dead, watched from 500 meters away. One shot, Carmody's heart gone. The man who betrayed him executed during his own speech. The war had begun. The next target was Judge Merriman. As he was approaching his vehicle, Frank struck again, a shotgun blast to his back, brutal and final. By morning, a surviving enforcer found a folder, proof of the judge's corruption, and a name behind it all. Wilson Fisk, the kingpin of crime. Fisk, sensing Castle was coming, sent out the rest of his network to kill him. Back at the donut shop, Officer McGuire stepped out after his daily collection. Frank was waiting. McGuire turned, shocked, and said that he thought he was dead and was adamant about it because he was at the funeral. As he tried to utter another word, Frank shoots McGuire at point-blank range. Frank replied coldly and agrees by saying that Frank Castle died with his family that night. He is now a man that is going to clean up the scum that preys on the suffering of others. This man is the Punisher. In this twisted timeline, Frank Castle still loses everything, but not from a random mob hit. This time, he loses it all because he tried to do the right thing. He tried to clean the system, and that's the cruelest fate of all, because in every universe, no matter how the story changes, Frank Castle is destined to become the Punisher. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed this what if story and want more Punisher adventure stories, let me know in the comment section. Punish that like button, share the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Punisher Mythos is out.